Hello. Now, I've got some things to show you today. Things that actually I am really proud of. First of all, this one. Now, it doesn't look very special at the moment, but if I told you that I grew it from a tiny, tiny seed, a pip, and you've probably guessed what that pip comes from. It comes from an apple. And I planted it, can't remember how long ago, this little seed, or one exactly like it. I planted it and I watched it, I watered it, I made sure it got enough sun, and gradually, over the last few months, it has grown into this beautiful plant, which one day will become an apple tree. Now, I wonder if you know what this one is. This one is slower growing. The leaves are quite different. They're a bit thicker than these leaves, but they came from a different seed. I wonder if I can show you this seed. Probably can't see it very well, but it came from a lemon. And once again, I planted it, I watched it very carefully, I made sure it had plenty of water, plenty of sun, and I've managed to grow not just one actually, but two. So when they get a bit bigger, I shall take this one, and when the frosts are finished, and when I know that the weather's going to be pretty settled, I shall transplant it into my garden. And I don't know how long it'll take to grow into a tree, quite a few years I think, but it'll be a wonderful thing to think that I grew it from that tiny seed. Now these are lemon trees, and lemon trees, well, we could probably put it out for the summer, but I'd have to bring it in again in the winter because they need a much warmer place, and our country isn't warm enough in the winter for lemon trees to grow. But I'm very excited that I've managed to grow these. And I suppose because I feel I've grown them from seed, I feel more responsible for them and probably a bit more, a bit more caring towards them. Now, let's have a look at what we've got here. This is a tree. Now, I didn't plant this tree. You probably guessed it's not a real tree. But let's think about what it is, first of all. I don't know whether you'll be able to guess from the tree itself, so I'm going to show you what the leaves look like. They're quite small on there, but that's what they look like. Now, do you know what sort of tree this is? It's quite difficult, isn't it? I don't think I would have known if somebody had just shown me that. But if I show you this as well, I think you will guess that it is actually a vine. And it's a vine that will bear fruit like this. Now, this vine belongs to God. These plants belong to God, but I feel they're sort of mine because I planted them. But actually, God has planted everything, and God has given us the seeds that we can take from the old tree through the fruit, that we can plant new ones. And there's a story in the Bible which describes God as the gardener. And if we look at this particular tree, a gardener has to really, really look after the tree. So what he will do is he will come along with his little sort of secateurs, and he will look at the tree and he will think, that branch looks a bit dead, let's take that one off. Oh, there's one over here doesn't seem to be doing too much, let's get rid of that one. And what he does is he takes off the bits of the vine which he knows are not going to bear very much fruit. Because what happens then is that all the goodness goes into the good bits of the tree. and makes for better plants and better fruit. Now, by doing this, God is actually what we call nurturing the tree. He's making it stronger. He's making it healthier. Now, if we think about this tree as something slightly different, because the story in the Bible tells us that this tree itself is Jesus, and all the little branches, it's you and me and all of us. And the idea is that if we stay close to the branch, if we stay close to Jesus, then we will grow stronger and healthier, and we will bear fruit. Now, I know that you know a song that I really enjoy about the fruits of the Spirit, where Jesus says, if you want to be a fruit of the Spirit, you can't be a banana, you're not going to be a grape, you're not going to be a lemon, but you are going to grow the fruits of the Spirit: joy, peace, love, gentleness, kindness, and self-control. Remember the song? Well, what happens when we drift away from the tree? What happens when our branches perhaps drop off, or they decide they don't want to belong to the tree anymore, and the wind takes them and falls off? They've not been cut off specially, they've just become separated from the tree. Now, Jesus says that we need to stay close to him if we're going to grow as healthy followers of him, and if we're going to bear all the fruits of the Spirit. And that's quite difficult to understand, isn't it? So I'm going to tell you another little story. This isn't a story that was in the Bible, but if you remember, Jesus always used things that people knew about. People knew about vines. They knew about sheep, and Jesus told stories about sheep. They knew about sowing seeds and fishing. So whenever Jesus told his stories, he tried to relate it to something that they knew a lot about. Now, these days, we don't do an awful lot of sowing, do we? We don't do a lot of looking after sheep. Not us, some people do. But one thing that a lot of people do is play sport. And one of the story I want to tell you is about a little boy called Jack. And Jack was about 11, 12 years old. He'd just gone up to secondary school. Now, he loved football. Lots and lots of boys and girls love football. When I was a little girl, girls didn't play football, but I think if they had, I'd have loved to have played. Well, Jack was a very good footballer. Some people are very good at other sports, but football was Jack's game. And he used to go to a club 2 nights a week after school, and if he played well enough in the practices, then he'd be chosen for the team to play on Saturday. Well, he used to go home, do his homework as quickly as he could, have something to eat, and then go off to training. And he was happy, and usually, because he was such a good footballer, he would be chosen for the team. Now, one day he got home from school and he'd done his homework, and he just thought, I don't really feel like football tonight. So he said to his mum, is it all right if I miss football training tonight? Because I don't really feel too good. So his mum said, okay. She said, because this isn't compulsory. That means you don't have to do it. You do it because you want to do it. But we'll have to let the coach know that you're not coming, because you can't just not turn up. So his mum rang the coach and said, I'm really sorry, but Jack's not feeling quite like football tonight. I'm afraid he's going to miss it. Okay, said the coach, I'll see him on Thursday. Well, on Thursday, Jack said, I don't know if I want to go. And his mum said, look, you're perfectly all right. You've been out playing with your friends. You've been to school. You really should go. You can't keep missing it. So he went along and he played well and he was picked for the team. Well, when the next week came, Tuesday came round, and I don't really feel like going to football tonight, Mum. And his mum said, well, is this, are you losing interest in football? Do you just not want to play anymore? He said, I don't know, I just feel, I don't know, I just don't feel I want to play at the moment. So his mum said, well, you've got to be sensible about this. You can't mess your coach about. You can't go some days and not the others. You've either got to say you're going to go or you're not going to go. So he said, I don't think I'll go. So his mum rang the coach and said, I'm really sorry, but Jack's just going through a phase where he's just not wanting to come to football anymore. So the coach said, well, fair enough, it's up to him. But of course, if he doesn't come to practice, I can't pick him for the team. And his mum said, no, we know that. Well, a few weeks went by. Jack would still play football in the playground at school, and he'd play with his friends after school, but he suddenly started to miss the really good training skills, because he was finding that he wasn't passing quite so well, and he was not quite as fit as he used to be. He'd get puffed out running up and down the park. He never used to get puffed out. Anyway, he said to his mum one day, I'm really missing football at the club. I think I'd like to go back. So his mum said, well, we'll have to ask the coach if that's all right. So they rang him up, and the coach said, well, yeah, okay, if you want to come back, that's fine, but don't expect to be in the team straight away. So Jack said, no, I understand that. So the coach said, well, why don't you just come back for one night of training? So he went every Tuesday night. And one day he said to his mum, can I go on Thursday as well? And his mum said, well, if the coach says yes. And thankfully the coach did say yes. So he started going back to training twice a week. And before very long, he was passing really well. He was running up and down the pitch and not getting puffed out. He even scored a few goals in the practices, and that really gave him a lift. But the coach said, you've got to come regularly if you want to be in the team. So he started to go regularly. The first time he played in a match, he didn't play as well as he used to play. He'd find that he'd make a pass and it wouldn't quite reach his teammate. Or he'd make a pass and it went too far away from his teammate. A couple of times he hit the crossbar. This wasn't the Jack they used to know. But then, gradually, by going to practice twice a week, he got back to the fit, skillful player that he used to be. And they said, it's like having the old Jack back, isn't it? And when finally he played in a match and scored a goal, he knew he was back where he wanted to be. Now, because he drifted away, he'd lost a lot of the things that made football exciting for him. And what Jesus is saying is, if we drift away from him, then we're not going to be able to produce the good fruits of the Spirit in the way that we did before. And he's saying, stay close to me, feed on the tree that I am, and I will make sure that you grow good fruit. So, I've grown fruit, you can grow fruit, and we can all grow the fruits of the Spirit. Until I see you again, bye-bye.
The fruit of the Spirit's not a coconut. Fruit of the Spirit's not a coconut. If you want to be a coconut, you might as well hear it. You can't be a fruit of the Spirit, cause the fruit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control. Oh, the fruit of the Spirit's not a banana. The fruit of the Spirit's not a banana. You wanna be a banana? You might as well hear it. You can't be a fruit of the Spirit, cause the fruit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Love and joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control. Oh. the Spirit's not a watermelon. The fruit of the Spirit's not a watermelon. If you want to be a watermelon, you might as well hear it. You can't be a fruit of the Spirit, cause the fruit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control. Oh, the fruit of the Spirit's not a lemon. The fruit of the Spirit's not a lemon. If you want to be a lemon, you might as well hear it. You can't be a fruit of the Spirit, cause the fruit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control. Oh, the fruit of the Spirit is not a cherry. The fruit of the Spirit is not a cherry. If you want to be a cherry, you might as well hear it. You can't be a fruit of the Spirit, cause the fruit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control. Okay! Everybody knows that grapes come in bunches, so everybody get in big bunches. The fruit of the Spirit's not a grape. The fruit of the Spirit's not a grape. You want to be a grape, you might as well hear it. You can't be a fruit of the Spirit, cause the fruit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control. The fruit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control. Love, joy, peace,